There are days when humanity surprises itself, when ordinary moments become extraordinary, and when the impossible suddenly becomes real. May 14th is one of those days. On this date, a country doctor dared to challenge a disease that had terrorized civilizations for centuries, and the first smallpox vaccine changed medicine forever. On this date, America launched its first space station into orbit, proving we could live among the stars. And on this very same date, China landed its first rover on the red surface of Mars, joining an elite club of nations bold enough to reach for another world. 3 breakthroughs. 3 leaps forward. One remarkable day. This is the story of May 14th. On a quiet spring morning in the English countryside, a country doctor was about to change the course of human history forever. With steady hands and unwavering courage, Edward Jenner pressed a lancet into the arm of 8-year-old James Phipps, delivering humanity's first true weapon against one of its most terrifying enemies. This was May 14, 1796, and the world would never be the same again. Smallpox. The very name sent shivers down spines across every continent. This relentless killer claimed 400,000 European lives every single year. It didn't discriminate between peasants and kings, between the young and the old. Those lucky enough to survive were left scarred, often blinded, their faces forever marked by the disease's cruel signature. For centuries, humanity could only watch helplessly as this invisible monster ravaged communities and toppled empires. But Edward Jenner refused to accept defeat. This son of a Gloucestershire clergyman had heard whispers among the milkmaids of his rural community, stories that seemed almost too simple to be true. These women, who worked daily with cows, claimed they never caught smallpox. Instead, they contracted a much milder illness called cowpox, and somehow, impossibly, this seemed to protect them. The medical establishment scoffed at such folklore. Leading physicians dismissed the idea as rural superstition, the naive beliefs of uneducated country folk. But Jenner listened. He observed. He documented case after case for over 20 years, building evidence while his peers turned away. And then came the moment of truth. Young James Phipps sat before him, and Jenner made a decision that would either validate decades of work or destroy his reputation entirely. He took material from a cowpox sore on the hand of milkmaid Sarah Nelms and introduced it into the boy's arm. James developed a mild fever. A small sore appeared and healed. And then, 6 weeks later, Jenner did something that terrified everyone around him. He deliberately exposed James to smallpox itself. The scientific community held its breath. Nothing happened. James Phipps remained perfectly healthy. The impossible had become possible. Jenner faced ridicule and resistance. Critics called his methods dangerous and unnatural. Satirists drew cartoons of vaccinated people sprouting cow heads. But the evidence was undeniable, and slowly, gloriously, the world began to embrace his discovery. 229 years later, Jenner's legacy stands as humanity's greatest medical triumph. In 1980, the World Health Organization declared smallpox completely eradicated, the first and only human disease we have ever conquered entirely. Every vaccine that followed, from polio to measles to the shots protecting us today, traces its lineage back to that country doctor and one brave little boy who changed everything. May 14, 1973. Cape Canaveral, Florida. A modified Saturn V rocket, the same mighty beast that carried astronauts to the moon, thunders to life one final time. But today, it carries no crew. Instead, nestled atop this pillar of fire and fury sits something unprecedented, a fully equipped laboratory destined to become America's first home among the stars. This is Skylab. And in this moment, the United States stakes its claim not just to visit space, but to live there. For years, the Soviet Union had dominated the space station race. Their Salyut program had already put cosmonauts into orbit aboard functioning stations while America watched from the sidelines. Critics questioned whether NASA could pivot from lunar landings to long-duration spaceflight. Could humans truly survive weeks, even months, in the unforgiving void? Many believed the technical challenges were simply too great. The radiation, the muscle atrophy, the psychological toll of confinement, the obstacles seemed endless. But NASA engineers refused to accept defeat. they repurposed the third stage of a Saturn V rocket, transforming a fuel tank into the largest habitable structure ever sent to space. 70 feet long and spanning nearly 300 cubic meters of living space, Skylab was a palace compared to the cramped capsules astronauts had endured before. Inside, they installed telescopes, medical equipment, exercise machines, and even a shower, luxuries unimaginable in earlier missions. The journey to this launch had demanded years of sacrifice. Engineers worked grueling hours solving problems that had never existed before. How do you build a space station? How do you protect it from micrometeorites? How do you keep 3 human beings alive and productive for months at a time? Every solution created new questions. Every breakthrough revealed new challenges. And then, just 63 seconds after launch, disaster nearly struck. A crucial meteoroid shield tore away, taking one of the station's solar panels with it. Skylab reached orbit crippled and overheating. The world held its breath. Had America's grand experiment failed before it truly began? But 11 days later, the first crew arrived with tools, ingenuity, and extraordinary courage. They deployed an improvised sunshade, freed the jammed solar panel, and saved the station. Over the next year, 3 separate crews would call Skylab home, spending up to 84 consecutive days in orbit, shattering every previous record for human spaceflight. Their research transformed our understanding of solar physics, Earth observation, and most critically, the human body's ability to adapt to weightlessness. They proved that long-duration spaceflight wasn't just possible, it was the future. Today, the International Space Station orbits overhead as a direct descendant of that bold experiment. Every astronaut living in space right now traces their heritage back to that thunderous launch 52 years ago. Skylab showed us that humanity. On May 15, 2021, after 9 agonizing minutes of radio silence, a signal pierced through 200 million miles of space. In a Beijing control room, engineers erupted into cheers, some weeping openly, others embracing colleagues they had worked alongside for over a decade. China had just landed on Mars. This was not just another mission. This was Yurong, named after the ancient Chinese god of fire, and it represented one of the most audacious leaps in space exploration history. While other nations had taken decades to progress from orbiting Mars to landing on its surface, China attempted something unprecedented. They combined an orbiter, a lander, and a rover all in a single mission, on their very first attempt. The Mars landing zone they call the 7 minutes of terror? For Yurong, it stretched to 9 harrowing minutes, during which the spacecraft had to autonomously slow from 12,000 miles per hour to a gentle touchdown, all while mission control waited helplessly for signals traveling at the speed of light to confirm success or failure. The world watched with skepticism and fascination. Before this moment, only the United States had successfully operated a rover on the Martian surface. The Soviet Union tried. Europe tried. All had failed. Mars has claimed more than half of every mission ever sent its way. This planet does not forgive mistakes. But the team at the China National Space Administration had prepared for over 6 years, studying every failed mission, every successful landing, every grain of Martian dust they could analyze from afar. They chose Utopia Planitia, a vast basin in the northern hemisphere, and engineered Yurong to survive the brutal temperature swings, the global dust storms, the unknown terrain. And then came that magnificent moment. Yurong rolled off its landing platform and onto the rusty soil of an alien world. Its cameras captured images of its own wheel tracks stretching across the Martian surface, tire treads carrying the hopes of over 1 billion people. The rover was designed to operate for 90 Martian days. It lasted over 1 Earth year, traveling nearly 2 kilometers across the frozen plains, analyzing soil composition, mapping subsurface water ice, and sending back images that continue to reshape our understanding of the Red Planet. What China achieved for years ago today did more than plant a flag in the space race. It proved that the impossible is simply the not yet attempted. It inspired a generation of young scientists and engineers across Asia and around the globe to look upward and dream bigger. Today, Yurong rests in hibernation mode, waiting perhaps for another sunrise to warm its solar panels. But its legacy? That is very From a country doctor's bold experiment that would save countless millions, to America's pioneering outpost among the stars, to China's triumphant touchdown on the red planet, today's stories remind us that human curiosity knows no bounds. So tell me, which of these incredible achievements impressed you the most? Drop your answer in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you enjoyed this journey through history, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss another episode.